Have you ever wondered why some seniors seem to drift further from family and friends as they age, even when they don't mean to? It's not just time or distance. It's the sneaky habits that creep in unnoticed, pushing people away and dimming that spark we all love. I'm talking about things like neglecting grooming, living in the past, or forgetting to laugh, stuff no one warns you about. Today, we're exposing the 9 ugliest habits seniors pick up as they age, and trust me, number 1 will catch you off guard. Stick around to the end because these aren't just problems. They come with simple fixes that can transform your relationships, boost your confidence, and keep you thriving, no matter your age. You won't want to miss how easy it is to turn things around. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video. You can help me continue to spread the old age lesson. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like this video, please comment number 1. If you don't like it, comment number 0 to let me know, so I can make a better video for you. Now let's get started. 1. Letting personal grooming slide. As the years pile on, it's tempting to let personal grooming slip through the cracks. What once felt like a non-negotiable part of the day, showering, combing your hair, or picking out a clean outfit, can start to seem optional. Maybe the morning shower gets skipped because it's too much effort to step over the tub, or those fingernails grow jagged and untamed because clipping them feels like a chore. Perhaps you find yourself reaching for that same faded, threadbare sweater, not because it's stylish, but because it's soft and familiar, even if it's been draped over your shoulders for 4 days straight. For Margaret, a 68-year-old retiree, this gradual slide went unnoticed at first. She'd always prided herself on being put together, but lately, she'd let things go. Her kids' visits grew shorter, their hugs briefer, and she chalked it up to their busy schedules. Her neighbors, once chatty over the garden fence, now waved quickly and hurried off. It wasn't until she glimpsed herself in a store window one afternoon, hair matted and greasy, clothes dotted with coffee stains from 2 days prior, that the penny dropped. She hadn't just stopped caring for her appearance, she'd stopped caring for herself. Neglecting grooming isn't just about how others perceive you, though that's part of it. People do notice, even if they don't say it. More importantly, it chips away at your sense of vitality. When you stop tending to the small details, it's as if you're signaling to yourself that you're no longer worth the effort, and that can spiral into a quieter, dimmer existence. The good news? It's fixable with minimal fuss. Margaret started small, a quick shower every morning, even if just to rinse off and feel human again, a weekly nail trimming session while watching her favorite show, and a rule to swap out that beloved but grubby sweater for a clean shirt at least every other day. She didn't need a full makeover or a fancy wardrobe, just a routine to anchor her. It's not about chasing youth or bowing to vanity. It's about reclaiming a spark that says, "I'm still here, and I matter." The bonus. Her kids lingered a little longer at the door, and her neighbor even stopped to ask about her roses again. 2. Turning every chat into a health report. Aging comes with its share of creaks and groans, knees that protest on stairs, a back that twinges after gardening, or a new prescription to decipher. It's only natural to want to talk about it, to process the changes or seek a sympathetic ear. Margaret, for instance, found herself cataloging her ailments like a weather report. "My knee's been acting up since Tuesday," or "The doctor says my cholesterol's up again." At first, her son nodded along, and her friends offered the occasional, "Oh, that's rough." But over time, she noticed a shift. Her son's eyes would drift to his phone mid-sentence, glazing over as she detailed her latest physical therapy session. Her coffee group grew quieter, their responses shorter, until one day a friend gently steered the talk to a new movie instead. Margaret didn't mean to dominate every chat with her health saga. She just assumed it was relatable. But what she didn't see was how it wore people down, turning lively conversations into a one-note medical briefing. There's nothing wrong with sharing the realities of aging. It's part of being human. The trap is letting it become your only story. When every exchange revolves around sciatica or blood pressure, it can unintentionally push people away. Not because they don't care, but because it leaves little room for anything else. Relationships thrive on give and take, and constant health updates can feel like a monologue instead. Margaret learned to balance it out. She'd mention her stiff shoulder if it was bugging her, "This cold weather's got my joints complaining." But then she'd pivot. "How's that project you were working on?" she'd ask her son, or she'd tell her friends about the ridiculous plot twist in the mystery novel she'd just finished. Sometimes she'd toss in a laugh, like the time she tripped over her cat and blamed her creaky old bones instead of the furball. The shift wasn't about hiding her struggles. It was about keeping the bigger picture in focus. She rediscovered that she was more than her ailments, a storyteller, a listener, a friend, and her connections grew warmer for it. Next time you're tempted to lead with the latest doctor's visit, try tossing in a curveball instead. My hip's grumpy, but did I tell you about the hawk I saw in the yard yesterday? Keeps the world wide open. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. 3. Hoarding memories and junk. Sentimental items, like old photographs yellowed at the edges, handwritten letters with faded ink, or a child's first pair of shoes, anchor us to the past, preserving moments we fear losing. But when nostalgia tips into excess, it can spiral into clutter that overwhelms both space and relationships. Take Margaret, for instance. Her garage had become a labyrinth of towering cardboard boxes, crammed with dusty, mildew-scented books from decades past, outdated clothes she swore she'd wear again, and random trinkets she couldn't even name. What started as a collection of cherished keepsakes morphed into a chaotic hoard that spilled into every corner of her home. Her daughter, Lisa, used to love visiting, reminiscing over old family albums together. But over time, the mess grew suffocating. Every step through the garage felt like navigating an obstacle course, and the air hung heavy with dust and guilt. Lisa's visits dwindled to rare, reluctant drop-ins, the clutter a silent wedge between them. Hoarding doesn't just clog physical space, it breeds emotional chaos too. It signals an inability to let go, a fear that discarding an object means discarding the memory tied to it. Loved ones like Lisa feel pushed away, not by the person, but by the walls of stuff that make connection harder. The good news? You don't have to tackle it all at once. Start small. Pick one drawer, one shelf, or even a single box. Hold each item and ask, does this still spark joy? Does it serve me today? Keep the treasures, a photo of a long-gone grandparent, a letter that still makes you smile, and let go of the rest. Donate the usable, toss the broken, and free yourself from the weight. Letting go isn't erasing the past. It's making room for the present, turning your home into a place where memories can breathe and loved ones feel welcome again. Margaret started with a single corner of her garage, and soon Lisa was back, coffee in hand, laughing over those old photos once more. 4. Getting blunt without realizing it. As we age, the social filters we once polished over years of careful interaction can start to wear thin. Words slip out unvarnished, often with a bluntness that surprises even the speaker. Margaret, for example, always prided herself on her straightforwardness. So when her teenage grandson, Jake, showed up sporting a choppy, experimental haircut, she chuckled and said, "Well, that looks like a lawnmower accident." She meant it as a playful jab, a teasing nod to their usual banter. But Jake's face fell, his confidence punctured, and Margaret didn't notice the sting until weeks later when his calls stopped coming. What she saw as harmless honesty, he heard as a harsh critique, a judgment from someone whose opinion mattered deeply. It's a subtle shift that creeps up with time. The line between candor and rudeness blurs. Honesty is a gift, but when it's delivered without a cushion, it can feel like a slap, especially to those who aren't used to decoding intent behind unsoftened words. Margaret didn't mean to push Jake away, but she hadn't paused to consider how her comment landed. The fix isn't silencing yourself. It's adding a moment of reflection. Before speaking, take a beat and think, would I have said this at 40 when I was more attuned to diplomacy? Does it need a softer edge? Instead of lawnmower accident, she could have tried, wow, you're rocking a bold style. Ever thought about a shorter cut to show off your face more? It's still true to her thoughts, but it lands with kindness, not a sting. That small tweak keeps the conversation open, the connection strong. After all, the goal isn't to hide your personality. It's to share it in a way that builds bridges, not walls. When Margaret finally called Jake to apologize and compliment his creativity, he laughed it off, and their weekly chats picked up right where they left off. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. 5. Shunning technology. The digital age arrived like a tidal wave. Smartphones pinging with notifications, video calls lighting up screens with familiar faces, social media stitching people together across miles. And for Margaret, it was all too much to absorb. She held fast to her old rotary landline, its coiled cord a tether to a quieter era she understood. The phone's scratchy ring was enough for her. She didn't need apps or touchscreens complicating things. But that choice, innocent as it seemed, came with a cost she hadn't anticipated. Her grandkids, with their sticky fingers and boundless energy, would crowd around their mom's phone for FaceTime calls, giggling as they showed off a lost tooth or a lopsided drawing. Moments Margaret never saw. The family group chat buzzed with life. A blurry snapshot of her daughter's new haircut, a video of her nephew's wobbly first steps, a string of silly emojis from her sister. Margaret's landline stayed silent through it all, leaving her on the outside of a world her loved ones now inhabited. It wasn't just about missing updates. Shunning technology built a chasm between her and the generations that followed. Her son, once eager to share a funny YouTube clip or a photo of his hiking trip, eventually stopped trying. He'd say, "Mom doesn't do tech," with a shrug. Her teenage granddaughter assumed Grandma wouldn't care about her dance recital livestream, so she didn't bother sending the link. The distance grew, not from lack of love, but from a quiet drift fueled by disconnection. Margaret didn't need to become a digital native. No one expected her to start tweeting hot takes or editing Instagram stories. But dipping a toe into that world could have changed everything. Imagine her fumbling through her first text message, "Hi sweetie," smiley face, and grinning at the little yellow face she'd accidentally mastered. Picture her on a shaky video call, squinting at the screen as her grandson waves a toy truck, or scrolling Facebook with a cup of tea, chuckling at her niece's puppy chewing a slipper. These aren't feats of technological mastery. They're lifelines, small, human ways to stay woven into the fabric of her family. Technology isn't perfect. Its glitches and noise can grate, but for Margaret, it could be a bridge across the years, keeping her close to those she holds dear. 6. Sticking to the same old routine. There's a soothing rhythm to routine, a steady pulse that keeps life manageable when everything else feels unpredictable. For Margaret, that rhythm was sacred, a bowl of oatmeal with a dusting of cinnamon and a pat of butter every morning, a 3-block walk past the same tidy lawns and barking terrier each afternoon, and a gentle refusal whenever her son suggested trying the new Italian restaurant with its promise of garlic bread and tiramisu. It wasn't that she disliked the idea. She just liked her days the way they were, neatly ordered, like a favorite book she'd memorized. Those habits were her anchor, a cozy cocoon spun from years of repetition. But comfort can harden into something less forgiving, and Margaret didn't notice how her rigidity started to wall her off from the people around her. Her son, with his hopeful invitations, eventually ran out of steam. After a dozen "maybe next time" replies, he stopped asking, assuming she'd rather stay home than explore. Friends who once nudged her toward a local book club or a matinee showing of a classic film stopped calling too, figuring she'd turn them down again. Her world didn't collapse, it just quietly contracted, shrinking to the size of her kitchen table and that worn path around the block. Margaret didn't mean to seem disinterested. She wasn't against new experiences. She'd just gotten too good at saying no. That predictability sent an unintended message. I'm finished evolving, done stretching. But she wasn't. Not really. The fix didn't require a grand upheaval, no drastic overhaul of her life's blueprint. It could start with something tiny, like trading her oatmeal for a warm blueberry muffin one morning, savoring the sweet crumble as a little rebellion against the usual. Or taking a different turn on her walk, past a corner store she'd never noticed, where a chatty clerk might tell her about the daffodils popping up nearby. Maybe even a hesitant yes to her son's next restaurant pitch, sitting across from him as he raves about the pasta and she admits the garlic bread is pretty good. These aren't earth-shattering leaps, they're gentle nudges, proof she's still curious, still game for a little adventure. And they signal something to the people she loves. She's not just a fixture in their lives, a predictable shadow in the background. She's still here, engaged, willing to meet them part way. Routine is a sturdy base, not a locked gate. A sprinkle of flexibility can transform it from a shield into an invitation, keeping her connected to a world that's still eager to include her. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 3 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. 7. Slouching through life. Aging often brings a slow, creeping decline in posture and mobility. Joints stiffen like rusty hinges, muscles lose their spring, and the body starts to fold inward as if guarding itself against time. But the damage isn't merely physical. It seeps into your spirit and shapes how the world sees you. Consider Margaret. Once she'd stood straight as a sapling, shoulders squared, her walk a confident clip that turned heads at the market. Now, decades later, her shoulders had rounded forward, her spine curving into a gentle hunch, and her steps had dwindled to a tentative shuffle, as if she feared the ground might shift beneath her. She didn't just appear frail, she felt it, a quiet fragility that settled into her thoughts like dust on a shelf. She'd catch her reflection in a window and wince, barely recognizing the woman staring back. And others noticed too. Strangers at the grocery store would offer to carry her bags without asking, their voices dipping into that soft, careful cadence people use with the elderly or unwell. Friends would pause mid-conversation to ask if she needed a chair, their concern genuine but grating. Margaret didn't want their pity, she wasn't helpless, but her slumped posture told a story she hadn't meant to write. Poor posture doesn't just ache in your back or neck, it saps your confidence, drains the vitality from your days, and dims the light you cast in a room. Yet it's not a sentence you're stuck serving, there's a way to push back, and it's simpler than you might think. You don't need a gym membership or a miracle cure. It starts with small, deliberate acts woven into your routine. Picture this. Each morning, you stand in your kitchen, rolling your shoulders back 5 times, feeling the tightness loosen as your chest opens up. Or maybe you try a gentle spine twist, hands on hips, turning slowly side to side, reminding your body it's still capable of grace. Clasping your hands behind your back and lifting them slightly can stretch out that hunched upper back, a tiny rebellion against gravity. Then step outside for a short walk. 5 minutes, 10 if you're feeling bold, around the block or down to the mailbox, focusing on the rhythm of your breath, the swing of your arms, the solid earth underfoot. It's not about erasing every ache or rewinding the clock. It's about reclaiming what's yours. Stand tall, even if it feels unnatural at first, even if your muscles protest. Margaret gave it a go after a friend nudged her to try. After 2 weeks, she noticed her reflection looked less defeated. Her daughter stopped hovering with that worried frown, and when she caught herself humming while walking, she realized she felt stronger, not just in her body, but in her sense of self. It's a quiet, stubborn act of defiance. Proof that presence and strength don't fade unless you let them. 8. Living in the past. Back in my day, rolls off the tongue like a favorite song, a soothing melody that calls up a world that once made sense. For Margaret, it was a reflex born of longing, for the slower, softer days before smartphones chirped like impatient crickets, when neighbors gathered on front stoops at dusk, their laughter mingling with the hum of cicadas. She'd spin these tales for her daughter, her voice rich with detail, the scratch of a fountain pen on thick paper, the thrill of a letter arriving after weeks, the way her childhood street smelled of fresh-cut grass and her mother's baking. She could still hear the crackle of her family's old radio, tinny but magical, filling the kitchen with big band tunes. But too often, her daughter's reaction was predictable. A polite nod, a half-smile that didn't reach her eyes, and a distracted glance at the glowing screen in her hand. The stories didn't land. They floated above the moment, untethered, leaving a gap Margaret felt but couldn't name. She wasn't trying to preach or judge. She just wanted to share something precious, but her nostalgia had turned into a wall, shutting out the present and everyone in it. Nostalgia's a beautiful thing, a warm blanket of memory that comforts and grounds you, but lean on it too hard and it becomes a crutch, alienating those who can't step into your yesteryears. The past matters, but it's the bridge between then and now that keeps it alive, and keeps you connected. So try this instead. When a memory surfaces, don't let it stand alone. Weave it into the moment. We didn't have video calls back then, Margaret might say, her eyes crinkling as she looks at her daughter's face on the screen, but I love how I can see your smile like you're sitting across from me. It's better than any letter. It's a subtle shift, but it changes everything. You're not dismissing today's world or preaching about yesterday's. You're linking them, showing how they both hold value. Margaret experimented with it one evening, swapping her usual things were better to sigh for a tale about her first radio, how she'd fiddle with the dial for hours, then grinning as she added, "Now I've got every song I love on that little app you showed me." Her daughter perked up, chuckling as she shared her playlist woes, and suddenly they were in it together. Swapping stories, laughing, building something new. The past stayed vivid, a treasure she could still hold, but the conversation sparked with life, relatable and real. It's not about abandoning your history. It's about letting it dance with the present. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. 9. Forgetting to laugh. Life has a way of stacking burdens as the years pile on. Knees that creak like old floorboards, the hollow ache of a friend's absence, a medical report that sits heavy on your chest long after you've read it. It's no surprise that humor can slip away, its bright edges dulled by the weight of it all. Margaret used to be the heartbeat of her circle, her wit sharp and playful, teasing her friend Betty about her lopsided pies, or giggling with Tom over their 2 left feet dance at the church social, her laughter ringing out like a bell. But lately, that spark had dimmed. Conversations turned to somber updates. Her stiff hands struggling with jar lids, the latest loss in their shrinking group, the way winter seemed to linger longer each year. She didn't mean to sound dour, it just happened, the lightness leaching out of her voice. Her friends still called, but the chats grew shorter, the silences longer, invitations to coffee or cards tapered off. She hadn't noticed at first, but the shift was clear. Without her humor, she'd become harder to reach, her seriousness a veil that made others hesitate. Laughter isn't frivolous. It's a lifeline, a thread that keeps you young in spirit, lifts the heaviness, and binds you to the people who matter. Lose it, and you lose more than you realize. But humor doesn't vanish forever. It's there, waiting to be coaxed back, and you don't have to be a comedian to find it. Start small. Intentional. Curl up with an old comedy. Maybe a grainy rerun of I Love Lucy that once left you in stitches, or flip through a photo album and let a ridiculous memory bubble up, like the time Margaret's cat leapt onto the counter and made off with a whole roast chicken, leaving feathers and chaos in its wake. Share it with a friend, or poke fun at yourself. How you still fumble with the TV remote's endless buttons, or how your last attempt at baking ended in a smoke alarm serenade. Margaret tried it one afternoon, weary of her gloom. I turned soup into glue again, she said to Betty over tea, her lips twitching into a grin. Think I'll stick to toast and call it gourmet. Betty's eyes widened, then crinkled as she burst into laughter, her tale of a burnt loaf tumbling out. Soon the table was alive with snorts and cackles, stories piling up like kindling, the air warm with something Margaret hadn't felt in months. Her friends leaned in, their faces bright, the distance she'd unintentionally built dissolving with each shared chuckle. Humor doesn't wipe away life's scars, it's not meant to, but it lightens the load, makes it bearable, and reminds you, and everyone else, that you're still here, still you. Well, there you have it, the 9 ugly habits seniors might pick up as they age and the simple tweaks to turn them around. From sprucing up your grooming to rediscovering your laugh, these small changes can keep you connected, confident, and living your best life. So, what have you learned so far? I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below with one thing you've picked up today that you'll start practicing in your own life. If you like this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more tips to thrive at any age. See you in the next one.